Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest today on NDTV. Usually, as it goes in the world of news, you have powerful politicians, business tycoons, or thought leaders. But here is one gentleman who is, in the sense, rolled into the last two: thought leader, entrepreneur, and in so many ways, one can say modern day tech czar. Let's welcome Mr. Eric Daimler. Mr. Daimler, good to see you. Good to have you on NDTV.
Thank you for the kind introduction. It's good to be here.
If I can say this, AI probably today is the buzzword. Is the buzzword and is also a very fearsome word right now. You know, particularly in the markets or the emerging markets where we do have a consistent challenge of generating jobs. And when we see something like AI coming on the horizon, it almost automatically becomes threatening. Since you are one of the pioneers in this field, you know, you thought or talked about AI when the world probably hadn't heard about it. Let me first ask you, let me roll back a bit. Let me first ask you, how did you land up with AI?
I've been doing AI for 20 plus years. I've been an entrepreneur 6 times. I've been a venture capitalist on Sand Hill Road. I've been an academic, a researcher at Stanford and Carnegie Mellon in AI, which is where my PhD is from. But if people know me, they'll often know me from the time I spent in the Obama administration as the AI advisor. So I've been doing this a while from a lot of different perspectives.
Yes, I'll come back to that Obama administration bit, because that's also a very interesting bit. That's where probably the official rollout of an AI policy for the first time started to happen on the globe, not only in the United States, but in the globe itself. That was probably and you played the pivotal role in it in terms of an official rollout of a policy on AI. But let me go back, a bit and again ask you, 20 years back, no one had heard of AI, or probably the words like machine learning or computer learning were there. We had heard of them, but no one had heard about AI.
Yeah, when I was in the White House, I was pounding my table as hard as I could for AI to have people be aware of the future that was coming. But I am really grateful for the introduction of ChatGPT, because there's nothing like the threatened loss of your job to have you pay attention. That's what's changed.
Right, but that's, as I said, right in the very beginning, that's a very threatening prospect. That prospect is also very real currently, and that prospect is looming large. So therefore, Mr. Daimler, the challenge here is, as I said, in the emerging markets, that how do we view it? Do we view it as a friend? Do we view it as a foe? Do we view it somewhere in the middle of the road?
Yeah, there's a few things to say about that. In many ways, how we deal with this technology is how we'll deal with any sort of automation, wherever it's been. I am grateful that I work where I work and not in the farms like my ancestors did because of automation. Right? I am grateful that I don't work in a factory because of automation. So for many of us, we benefit from the increased productivity available from automation. And all of us enjoy the lifestyle that we have today, such as it is, from the increases in productivity afforded us by automation installed by our ancestors. And I expect that to continue. All of us will have better lives in a broad sense, but it will be disruptive, as it has always been. What's different is people talk about the speed, the rapidity of the changes. And in a digital economy, that is what's different. So in the past, when we automated farming, or we automated elevators, or we automated telephone switching, that took a little while to be adopted, and some people that were in those jobs could stay there until they retired. You would just know that your children wouldn't then be going into that career. What's different about today is digital technology doesn't work, and then as soon as it works infinitely well, and I don't need to wait until Monday morning to get rid of the staff that previously did the job. That's what's changed. That can be massively disruptive to the individual that did the job. That's now everywhere. It's not just in labor, blue collar jobs, as we might say. It's not in it, but it's also not just in white collar jobs. It's also in creative professions, as we see. It's all over. It's hard to predict where the disruption is going to take place exactly, and it's even harder to predict the timing. So in many ways, I could lay out what a future of AI is going to look like, and I have a pretty good sense in a broad way for the type of AI that I work on, where it's going over the next period of time. But the exact timing about when jobs are to get displaced or the magnitude of some of those disruptions, that's very difficult to predict. I just can tell you it's going to be upsetting for those people that have those jobs.
Well, yes, but the fact remains that in a country like India and most of the populous world, what we popularly probably describe as emerging markets, jobs, as I said, have been a consistent challenge. Even today, number one challenge for our policymakers is to generate quality jobs, number of quality jobs on a sustained basis. Now, on top of that comes this disruption, huge disruption, Eric, and as you said, you are one of the pioneers, and you were telling me that we probably don't know the magnitude of it or when is it going to hit us with full magnitude. It becomes tricky, right?
India has a special place among developing economies, writ large. And I started my career in emerging markets globally, so I have some more familiarity. It's not new to me about the dynamics in these countries and the way that they will experience job displacement. But India has a special place to play because India, for better or for worse in some sense, has become the world's back office. There is a $50 billion US dollar market in data engineering. And India dominates about 2/3 of that business. That's an amazing place to be as that work becomes automated. So India has this power by owning, well, in some sense, the digital infrastructure of the world, the back office of every large company, at least has considered having some degree of outsourcing and operations in India. But that work, data science, data engineering that Indian companies do, Infosys, Tata, Wipro, TIBCO, those companies will experience a disruption of their jobs over the next, say 5 to 7 years. That $50 billion business is, if not going away entirely, it's going to be remarkably disrupted because AI, like the type that me and my co-founders sell, we do about a 200-to-1 labor compression on that work. And so there's no amount of cost reduction.
200-to-1.
Yeah, there's no amount of cost reduction that can compete with that sort of automation. Our AI automates that work. You could have that work be free, and our AI will still be a better choice. So that's a really tough place for India to be for people doing that work. However, owning that digital infrastructure, there's already this fantastic sensibility generally, as I've experienced among Indians. At dinner a couple of days ago, I have a casual conversation with one of the guests about irrational numbers. I mean, that is not a common dinner conversation. And it's just, I think, well, this is just a lovely stereotypical thing that I expected to be in India, and that's what happened. That technical sophistication can be leveraged to transfer the built-in establishment of digital infrastructure in India into a higher level of leadership. It might end up being a little like the movie where the quiet supporting character at the end of the movie turns out to be the mastermind the whole time. I mean, that's the type of story that I think is available to India as we transition from that today manual $50 billion market into a more automated future of the digital economy.
So you think India can be that tactical mastermind, since we have that expertise and leverage even during this transitional phase, which quite clearly looks from your conversation is not going to be very painless?
I think that opportunity is available broadly to Indians and to the companies based in India, yes. Because of what I say, the sensibility of Indians broadly is, from my experience, has tended to not be outright technical, kind of respect technical education. And so the first stop towards transforming the digital economy will be these companies that are based in India and the Indians that are employed at these companies. That's the opportunity.
I'll come back to this digital infrastructure bit, Mr. Daimler. But do you think the current slowdown, the tech slowdown that we are also facing currently, the big tech companies, you named all of them, is somehow linked to this upswing in the AI?
Yes, because I'm not experiencing a slowdown. we are replacing manual work. Like every automation technology before us, we are automating expensive, slow, and error-prone work. In our particular case, it's in the digital infrastructure, but it's the same standard that motivates people to adopt automation in the past. And so we are not experiencing a slowdown because of this benefit. And that is absolutely a dynamic that would be felt differently on the other side.
Other side, absolutely. Digital public infrastructure, Eric, is something that our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and the government that he has run for last 10 years has put a lot of emphasis on. A lot of government's investments, a lot of government's effort, initiative, and their capital they have expended on promoting digital public infrastructure. And India as a country, because of the huge size and humongous population, quite clearly has much to benefit from it, digital public infrastructure. Do you think that infusion of AI into it, into the digital public infrastructure, can actually benefit the last mile connectivity in the terms of delivering better to the lowest strata of the society?
One thing I learned in my public service in the White House was that I couldn't, like it was in a commercial setting, choose my customers. In a public setting, I have to serve 100% of the population, not 99, not 98, but 100% of the population. So we have also in the United States embarked on a massive transformation of our digital infrastructure from the federal government down to states and down to cities. I live in San Francisco, and certainly we have a new way of interacting with many of our government services through digital means. The United States isn't always ahead of this, so I think this is a good example of where India could actually take some degree of leadership. Often we will look to places like Singapore, smaller countries, but ones that are certainly investing in digital infrastructure that show us where this is going at addressing 100% of the population. So I absolutely think that the template established by the countries already doing this, Estonia is another good example, sets a standard for the rest of us in bigger countries. Because as I say, digital technology doesn't work, and then as soon as it works, it does work for infinite scale. So it's really the same sort of thought process. We can potentially deliver much better services to a broader slice of the population through the digital economy. But this is important. This is an important part about AI. What people often will think is that, I just need to put this form online. Or I just need to have that form automatically routed to another department. That's not what I'm talking about. That misses the opportunity. So often in AI implementations, I see the claim that, I did 80% of the digitization and we will work on the other 20% of this digitization over time, but we'll have to do it manually a little bit. And we'll just use this example of filling out, say, immigration forms. But often, almost always, what I see is that work that people thought was 80% was really 1% or 1/2 of 1%. They did the easy part, but they left out the hard part. And that's what is unaddressed often by many of these implementations, AI or not. And we can talk again about what a good AI implementation looks like.
And let me take you back to your Obama administration years. On the front of jobs, there is one concern. There's another bigger concern about deep fakes, about imitating videos, about people's privacy being absolutely shredded by the use of AI-driven tech. Whether it's personally violative of their own spaces is something completely different. Probably people will react differently to it. But nonetheless, it is alarming. In the Obama administration and otherwise as an independent AI practitioner or entrepreneur or leader in that field, what do you think, the safety mechanisms, what are the roadblocks that we can put, the firewalls that we can put, or the industry needs to put for it to not go completely out of hand?
Yeah, I can say several things about that. When I was in the federal government, this wasn't seen as a big of an issue as it is today. We perceive the risk differently than we do today. One, I guess I have technical answers and I have regulatory answers. So first of all, on the technical answer, that this is important because so often boards of directors, senior leadership of companies want to just delegate these problems to IT and to say, you guys take care of it. And that is an abdication of their responsibility as fiduciaries to investors. They need to develop the infrastructure so that they are bringing data together in a way that is provably complete. The idea that I bring databases together and just test them and then test them and test them some more, that is just by definition prone to failure. I mean, that is an induction. All birds, this bird has wings, this animal has wings, this animal has wings, therefore, all birds have wings. That's induction. If I had 1 million animals with wings, it doesn't mean there's one exception. That's what testing does for us. That's induction. This is high school logic that the boards of directors need to not delegate to IT. They need to understand this. Then there's deduction, which is I start from a solid truth that I can bet my life on. All birds have wings. And then I look and say, this animal has wings, therefore it's a bird. Like those are facts, right? And so that's a data lineage. I need the data provenance. Did that bird actually have wings? And this could be a digital watermark or what have you. But I need to establish data provenance. Where did this data actually come from in some form? And then I need data lineage. As that data gets transformed, as it transfers to other databases across an organization, can I track that transparently? Right? So data provenance and data lineage is a regulatory issue. And then there's lastly issue of circuit breakers. And these are all regulations that we should advocate to our politicians to enact. I participate in many of these conversations in the United States, but I welcome this broader conversation globally. Circuit breakers show up as hard stops in automation. So absent feedback from others, I will, as a nerd working in the basement, just link automation. I will just continue to link automation. But sometimes I won't know when to stop or when I should have a break. I just have my own quarterly objectives, absent other feedback. But in San Francisco right now, I am taking autonomous taxis with Waymo. So the car pulls up without anybody in the front seat. I unlock the car with the drivers with my app. And then I get in, nobody else is in the car, and we are off and running. But there's a button there that says pull over or call for help, right? So that's a type of circuit breaker. That's a physical manifestation, but that's what I mean.
Yes, I get that, Eric. But the problem is, the moment the politicians get into the regulatory processes, the moment the big tech or the other companies would start saying, oh, this is curbing our freedom.
That's absolutely true. That's why in the United States we have yet to install safety protocols that would be appropriate to the risk that we all experience from this technology. But that's really what's required. So I said that there's a regulatory part of this, and there is a technical portion of this. So the regulatory portion of this is data provenance, data lineage, and circuit breakers. The technical part of this is using symbolic generative AI, which is deduction. And so you start with facts, you end up at facts. There's no amount of scale that's going to provide that level of safety with an inductive, probabilistic AI, such as we experience with large language models. And ultimately these organizations will need both of those married together for different benefits. But that's the technical answer that a board of directors has to at least understand, if not implement, which is I need a provably complete system, and that's a way to protect ourselves from a whole bunch of malfeasance that can occur.
Yes, and that is where, as you said, that with dealing with big tech, even a government like United States probably has not been able to find full fail-proof answers, complete fail-proof answers. And when it happens in a developing country like ours, as I said, the moment you try to put those circuit breakers, there will be immediate pushback saying, oh, our freedom is being curbed, or the way we conduct our business globally is not being respected here. So that compounds the challenge for a country like India.
So we do have solutions, but they are in particular domains. So what I did when I was working in the federal government is I worked on provably complete airplanes, for example, because you don't want, especially a military aircraft, to have any vulnerabilities to hacking. Right? That is the basis upon which the technology that I have commercialized with my co-founders finds purchase out in the world. We also do this in other parts of the U.S. government where you cannot afford to have errors. This is a zero tolerance environment. When you're drilling for oil or even putting up towers for windmills, that is a type of provably complete installation. When we construct a bridge around the world, we don't keep driving trucks over this until the bridge collapses and then rebuild the bridge.
Absolutely.
They're provably complete models.
Absolutely.
This is how you do it. That's the answer to these AI implementations. Provably complete plus probabilistic married together for different purposes in these organizations.
We've discussed past. We've discussed the challenges that are emerging. Let me take you to the future. What's the future of AI? As you said, probably the larger world should be thankful to the chat GPT. What are the costs involved, first of all? You've talked a lot about the cost. You've talked about the electricity being consumed in its development, the computers. People say, people just see the front end. And when Sam Altman talks about 100 million or things like that, that's the front end, as you say. You've talked about the other costs, the costs in the back end. So first of all, what are the costs and what's the future of AI?
Yeah. The cost of these probabilistic models, as we've all read about, is breathtakingly expensive, just in the energy consumption, let alone in the chip production. I know India is really getting into chip production in a big way, and I am a fan of India doing that. But we should make no mistake about the expensive path down which we are all going with increasing chip production. So I can talk about the future of AI in two ways. Maybe I'll first talk about the probabilistic AIs, like the large language models. There is a certain amount that we've all benefited from with scale. When I was an academic researcher, we knew that there was benefits to scale, but we thought there was a ceiling to this. We had no idea that you throw tens of billions of dollars at this and suddenly we can get the benefits that we now see with the video releases that we just got released this past week. Those are, in some extent, stochastic parrots or an autocomplete. Not to minimize that technology because it's not a great representation, but it's kind of true that they are just autocompletes. Where the world is going, and I can put a time frame on this because it's still an academic research, but when we say 5 or 10 years, is that the probabilistic technology currently completes my sentence or creates a first draft, is how I use that probabilistic technology. But the next step is, I want to know how you're going to react to what I say. Because, if I say, I want to go running, you're not going to say, look at the bird. Or maybe you will, but it's at a disjointed. There's generally a predictable set of things that you're going to react to if I say, I want to go running. Right? That's how we're going to get to prediction of your response. That's the future. Prediction, what I'm going to say, and then predict how you're going to respond. That's probabilistic, 5 to 10 years. On the other side, the future of the determinative, deductive AI is that we can take the largest organizations in the country, think of mining, think of oil and gas, and have all of that captured in this fact-based AI, this symbolic generative AI, such that leadership can make a decision on a laptop across the entire organization. That's where this world is going. That may take a bit because you have to capture all of the thinking, all of the models in a way that my AI can read them, in a way that a machine can read them. But that's the opportunity. One, probabilistic, we're going to predict how people are going to respond to my words, regardless of the language. The other is that we will be able to make decisions on a laptop for the biggest organizations in the world.
Mr. Daimler, my last question to you. Should the world be, I would say should the world be threatened is a strong word. Should the world be alarmed at the development or the pace that your favorite AI or regenerative AI or whatever you call it is taking? Should the world be alarmed?
I think we should not be passive. We should be active. I am optimistic about what is available to us in improving the lives for the 8 billion people on the planet and the 1.2 billion people in India. I am optimistic about what's possible, but sitting back and just waiting for nerds like me to just develop our technology and then we'll see what happens is not the right approach. We need engagement, we need adoption, even embracing this technology to see what sort of boundaries work for us as members of society. Kind of different than my role as an entrepreneur. I want people to be experimenting. It is concerning that there will be, history tells us, some large percentage of the population that will not either be able to or be willing to engage with this transformation and develop the new skills. I fear for the increased stratification and the increased disbursement of the rewards of this technology. So I think that is something that we can all be conscious of about how to address this for the people that that somehow just need to be brought along in the transformation of digital automation.
Well, you speak precisely, with your experiences, all married into a public official, married into an entrepreneur. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for a very candid conversation, Mr. Eric Daimler. Thanks for joining NDTV.
It's good to be here. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.